Transnational criminal organizations like MS-13 represent one of the gravest threats to our American safety.
Most people see MS-13 and think one word: violence. The headlines, the mugshots, the prison transfers. But strip all of that away for a moment, and what you find underneath is something stranger and far more interesting. A complete communication system, a symbolic language, tattoos that work like passports, hand gestures stacked together like spoken sentences, graffiti that functions as the local newspaper. MS-13 isn't just a gang, it's a parallel society with its own way of talking. And once you understand the code, the whole organization starts to look completely different. Welcome to Crime Syndicated. Here, we pull back the curtain on the most powerful criminal organizations ever built. So if you're ready to go deeper than the headlines, hit that subscribe button right now. First, some quick background. MS-13, which stands for Mara Salvatrucha, actually did not start in El Salvador. The gang was created in Los Angeles during the early 1980s by Salvadorian refugees who had escaped the violent civil war in their home country. According to the U.S. Department of Justice and the Congressional Research Service, the group originally started as a way for young Salvadorians to protect themselves in neighborhoods controlled by bigger and more powerful street gangs, mostly Mexican gangs in Los Angeles. Many of these teenagers were struggling to survive. Some could not speak English. Many were separated from their families. And a lot of them had already seen terrible violence and war back in El Salvador.
They want to be the top gang, the top Hispanic gang. That's what they want. They want to be the one with the most killings, the most murders.
Anthropologist Tom Ward, who spent 16 years studying MS-13 in both Los Angeles and El Salvador, described the early gang as being about family, belonging, and purpose. That idea is important because almost everything about MS-13's communication system is connected to identify who you are, who your group is, and what struggles you live through. The tattoos are probably the most recognizable part of MS-13.
These guys say they're trying to leave the gang. Some even have an X they've tattooed over their letters to show they're serious. What happens when you get out? I mean, if you get out and MS guys see that you've crossed out and left the gang, is that a problem?
But most people miss the deeper meaning behind these tattoos. They were not just random designs or gang logos. For many members, the tattoos worked more like a personal life story written on their skin. Federal court documents and gang investigators say certain symbols carry specific meanings. 3 dots usually represent La Vida Loca, or the crazy life.
I had tattoos on my body, on my fingers, on my arms. I ended up getting 3 dots, which was like La Vida Loca, the crazy life. Then I ended up getting the gang name tattooed across my chest.
Some members also see the dots as the 3 places a gang member is likely to end up: the hospital, prison, or the cemetery. Teardrop tattoos can represent murders, lost friends, or time spent in jail. Spiderwebs usually connect to prison life. Another common image is the phrase, "laugh now, cry later," shown with 2 theater masks. In the older MS-13 culture, tattoos were also something that had to be earned. Members were not supposed to get them just because they liked the design. Each tattoo was meant to represent something they had done inside the gang. In a 2025 CNN report from inside El Salvador's CCOT mega prison, one MS-13 prisoner openly said, "The main thing is to kill and deserve to be a gang member." In other words, tattoos often marked violent acts, loyalty, are important moments in a member's gang history. Because of that, an MS-13 member's body could almost work like a record book. Other gang members could look at someone's tattoos and quickly understand their past, what clique they belonged to, what they had done, where they had been, and sometimes even how much power they had inside the gang. Then there's the hand gestures.
Welcome to the new El Salvador. The civil war is long over, but the gang war has just begun.
Most people have seen the devil horns gesture connected to MS-13. When the hand sign is flipped upside down, it forms the letter M for Mara. Both the FBI and the National Gang Center listed as one of the gang's best-known symbols. But according to investigators and former gang members, signs were not just simple identifiers. They were often combined together to send more detailed messages.
A few tokes on a joint and some cheap liquor. He now belongs, and his life will never be the same.
Salvatrucha, salvadoreño.
Former MS-13 member Brenda Paz, who later became an FBI informant, explained the system during interviews with investigators in the early 2000s. She described how members would use multiple hand signs in sequence, something investigators called stacking. One gesture could identify a member's local clique, another could show rank or status, and another could deliver instructions or warnings. By combining signs, members could create many different meanings without saying a word. There were also quieter signals that outsiders usually would not notice. Some gestures were designed to be used in public places without drawing attention. For example, adjusting or pulling up the shoulders of a shirt could signal that an attack was about to happen. Touching or brushing the left shoulder could mean a stabbing, while rubbing the stomach could signal a shooting. These meanings were not always exactly the same everywhere because different cliques sometimes develop their own versions, almost like local slang or dialects. Experts who study gang communication say these gestures worked almost like a small sign language. It had a limited number of symbols, but the meaning depended heavily on context. The main purpose was quick communication in situations where speaking openly could be risky or dangerous. Walk into an MS-13 neighborhood and the walls start talking before any person does. Salvadorian anthropologist Juan Jose Martinez de Aubusson wrote the book A Year Inside MS-13. It described how entire neighborhoods can show signs of gang control. As you enter certain areas, you might start seeing MS-13 or Mara painted on the walls, sidewalks, or buildings. Sometimes there are huge murals at the entrance of the neighborhood, almost like a warning sign showing who controls the area. Young gang members often watch these entrances like guards or lookouts. The graffiti is not just random vandalism. It works more like a public message system. Researchers say the tags usually serve several purposes at the same time. First, they claim territory by telling everyone this area belongs to us. Second, they intimidate local residents and silently warn them to stay quiet and not cooperate with the police. Third, they honor dead gang members by painting their names or nicknames on walls. And finally, the graffiti can also be used to threaten rival gangs. One of the biggest examples is the rivalry between MS-13 and the 18th Street Gang, also known as Barrio 18. Crossing out a rival gang's graffiti is considered a direct insult and challenge. In gang culture, painting over or marking out another gang's name can be almost like declaring war.
We don't get along with MS, We don't like that hood,
So in many ways, the graffiti tells an entire story. It shows who controls the neighborhood, who controlled it before, which members have died, and sometimes even who the gang is targeting next. Then and there's a spoken language. Their language is a mix of Salvadorian street slang known as Caliche, and old school Mexican-American slang that came from Los Angeles in the 1980s. According to the US Department of Justice, the gang's name actually has several meanings hidden inside it. The word Mara means gang in Central America. Salva comes for Salvadorian, and Trucha means someone who is alert, smart, or always watching. So when you put it all together, Mara Salvatrucha roughly means something like the alert Salvadorian gang or watch out for these Salvadorian gangsters. The number 13 also has a meaning. It represents the 13th letter of the alphabet, the letter M. That was used to show loyalty to the Mexican Mafia, a powerful California prison gang that originally allowed Salvadorian gangs to operate in Los Angeles during the early days. Inside the gang, members also use their own special words for ranks and roles. A clica is a small local group or branch of the gang. A palabrero is the leader of that group, basically the guy who gives orders. A chequeo is someone being tested before becoming a full member. A homeboy is an officially initiated member. And the programa is a meeting where members discuss plans and decisions.
There is in a specific, I would say, leadership structure, but it's whoever fills that void in that moment in the neighborhood where there's no clear individual. Most of the time, nobody really wants to take a leadership of a gang because you become a prime target by law enforcement.
Most of these words are not found in normal Spanish dictionaries. It's basically a private language that members slowly learn over time. Here's the part that's genuinely new. For decades, MS-13 used its tattoos, hand signs, and graffiti almost like free advertising. The goal was simple: be recognized, be feared, and make sure everyone knew who they were. But that visibility later became one of the gang's biggest problems. Starting in 2022, Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele launched massive crackdowns on gangs, arresting more than 80,000 people under emergency laws. Tattoos became one of the main ways police identified suspected gang members. Reports from inside El Salvador's mega prison, CCOT, later claimed that some MS-13 groups even started banning visible tattoos for new recruits. Younger members were told to stay clean and avoid anything that could easily expose them to authorities. Then, on January 20th, 2025, the second administration of Donald Trump officially labeled MS-13 as a foreign terrorist organization and a specialty designated global terrorist group. That gave US agencies more power to investigate, arrest, and deport suspected members.
MS-13, you know about MS-13? It's not pleasant for them anymore, folks. It's not pleasant for them anymore. That's a bad group. Not pleasant for MS-13. Get them the hell out of here, right?
After that came a controversial deal between the US and El Salvador. According to reports, several indicted MS-13 leaders were sent back to El Salvador while the Bukele government agreed to accept deportees from the United States, including many Venezuelans accused of being tied to the rival gang Tren de Aragua. But critics warned that some deportations were based too heavily on tattoos alone. Researchers argued that relying only on tattoos could wrongly label innocent people as gang members. In the end, the same symbols that once made MS-13 powerful and feared are now also being used to identify, arrest, and imprison thousands of people, sometimes correctly and sometimes incorrectly. If this video gave you a new lens on something you thought you already knew, drop a like. Leave a comment with what you found most surprising and subscribe for more deep dives like this. I'll see you on the next one.